Hello everyone and welcome back to Russell's Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good, but movie, one of the best movies of all time, or a film that absolutely sucks and sure remain in the depths of hell. Welcome everyone to 2023. I know I'm a bit late on my first video, 2023, and the explanation I can give right now for it is, if you guys remember my video, like recapping 2022, I said in that video that I haven't been uploading much because honestly, I just had this like weird kind of feeling inside me for the last few weeks, and it still continues to occur in myself. So, like every single time I felt like ever so slightly encouraged to like make this video, there was some part of my mind that was just like, no, no, you should just sit down and continue to do nothing. So that's basically what I've been doing for the last week. Instead of getting, videos done, I just been sitting here in, my room, or 90% actually downstairs in my house, basically just doing nothing and just going through social media, just seeing how the world's just reacting. Um, so, um, but yeah, even right now as I'm recording this, there's a tiny part of me that's still kind of resisting it, but it feels good doing this. Um, and before anyone comments, yes, I did hear about the new strict policy that YouTube's been giving out within the last week. Basically saying you can't uh use profanity as much now, or else your videos will get demonetized. I think that's pretty stupid. Um, but it's like it's like I understand that they're trying to make it more, I guess, like kid friendly, or like kid user friendly, I should say, where they just want to get as much kids to use it as possible, and not have parents knocking, send them emails saying, "Oh my God, my kid watched this and there's so much profanity, and then now he's starting to use it." If that's you, then I'm sorry to say this, but your kid shouldn't be on the internet in the first place. If you are so scared of that, then do not let them on the internet, because sorry to say, there are people like that, and I believe that a lot of people are like that, and yet there's nothing that they can do about it, and yet YouTube is just punishing them for no inherent reason, just because they want to make their platform more kid friendly. So, um, so all my outbursts I've had, to do before, which were genuine, but make you guys laugh, I'm gonna have to start dialing that back now, because even though that did, that's funny, even to myself, I watch back on that and I laugh. I can't do that now because YouTube is just, a pain in my ass, saying that, you can't say that much profanity anymore, or else your videos and your channel will be demonetized. It's like, I don't know what to do. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way real quick before everyone started commenting and sending me messages saying, oh, did you hear about the new YouTube policy? Yes, I have, and it's stupid, but I have to make do with it. So, we'll make it through this, but it's how the world is. But with all that out of the way, let's start off 23 with a good start. And why not start off well with a certain franchise that's been getting more popular as the years go on? And a series that for the longest time was my real only the only series of films that I would watch that was from Marvel, because even to this day I'm still a massive DC kid. Um, as the years go on, I start to appreciate Marvel a lot more, but in my heart, I am a DC person. But back then, I'll basically just strictly Marvel, like, or not strictly DC. Like, all the Christopher Superman movies, all the '90s Batman movies. That's really all that I watched in terms of superhero movies, and then maybe occasionally I pop in Man of Steel every once in a while. But I was I was a classic DC kid. Um, until I started learning about the some of the Marvel films, and I was like, even then I was still like, eh. But one particular film caught my interest. And I'll go more into that in next week's video. But for the time being, this was one of the two films that got me into this red superhero, and that is Spider-Man, released in 2002, and I think is still to this day, at the time of me recording this, which is the January 6th of 2023, the most successful origin story or superhero origin story of all time, which I'll get to in a little bit. Now, as I already said, this was the only Marvel films that I really grew up with. Even up till, even looking at this Blu-ray right here, this was 2017, so this was right when they were advertising Homecoming, and they released all the current Spider-Man movies up to that point in these like new slipcovers. So I picked almost all of them up. I did two. I got the Raimi trilogy one trip, and then a few weeks later I got the Amazing Spider-Man films. But yeah, so they released all of the first five Spider-Man movies in these slipcovers. But underneath were just their standard Blu-rays that they were releasing at the time, which this one was 2012. So yeah, but yeah, this was one of the only Spider-Man movies I was watching consistently as a kid. The other one that I watched, we'll talk about next time. But I didn't watch this one as much as that one. I think I just liked the second one more overall. But I still really enjoyed watching this film. And I haven't seen it in years when coming into this review. So this was going to be a new experience for me, or at least revisiting it in so many years. What are my thoughts on it? Well, we'll talk about that as the review goes on. So this was made with a budget of around 140 million dollars. Domestically, it made over 400 million worldwide, or over 400 million domestically, and worldwide it made about over 820 million. So, like I said, this is, I think, by far the most successful superhero origin story as of this point. Because from what I can recall, I don't even think the first Superman movie had as big of a box office. But we'll get to that. And this was directed by Sam Raimi, who I've only actually, well, before this he was kind of an unknown director. But as the as the years went on and after these Spider-Man movies came out, people did a lot more research on him, and they discovered that he was, the director of the Evil Dead movies, which, speaking of which, real quick about these ones, I just ordered the 4K version of Evil Dead 1 and 2. It's like a dual pack. So this particular version might be leaving my collection very soon. This one, on the other hand, I actually picked up very recently. This is the 4K version, which I'll probably talk about in a video later on. But 4 discs this thing was for $25. Not bad. Anyway, so obviously he was most well known for directing the Evil Dead movies. So naturally, they were like, "Hey, why don't we give this guy, a lighthearted superhero movie?" Although, yeah, there was a lot more backstory to this, which if you want to look it up, there's plenty of information out there, or plenty of videos out there that go super into depth about it. But suffice to say that he was obviously not the first choice for it, and it still came as a shock when he basically made, he was known for all these, super gory, kind of 90s film, like 80s and 90s films, with, again, the Evil Dead movies, and with films such as Darkman. He makes this light-hearted superhero movie that was a PG-13. Okay, so you got my interest. Um, and obviously hiring the several cast members who were either pretty unknown or were pretty known for the kooky stuff, and getting the composer of the Tim Burton Batman movies. You're asking for pretty successful stuff, and did it succeed in that, right? Well, if the box office shows anything, clearly it was, because it would go on to receive two sequels, and then spawn like two different other timelines, which we'll get to over the next few weeks. But yeah. So let's get on to the plot, which, grandly, is Spider-Man. So everyone should know about it. But if you guys haven't, I'll give you the quick gist. High school student Peter Parker, played in this series, played by Tobey Maguire, who, after being bitten by a genetically altered spider, gains superhuman strength and the spider-like ability to cling to any surface. He vows to use his abilities to fight crime, come to understand the words of his beloved Uncle Ben, which in this interpretation is played by Cliff Robertson. With great power comes great responsibility. So, pretty standard, superhero origin plot. You obviously have your main character, Peter Parker, and then you obviously have your villain, which we'll get to in a little bit. And again, as typical with all these reviews, if you didn't pay attention to the title card, spoilers. Yeah. Overall, I think that okay, it's kind of difficult because coming from a person who grew up with the Christopher Reeve Superman movies and the 90s, especially the Michael Keaton Batman stuff, seeing this film kind of was like really my gateway to modern superhero movies, if that makes sense. And it's getting real fucking dark. I don't know why. But yeah. Basically, it was like if Superman was like my childhood Superman movie, or my childhood superhero movie, then I would say that Spider-Man was like my teenage superhero movie. And then going on to young adult, I would say the Batman was for me. But again, we'll get to that film later on, probably sometime this year. I don't fucking know. But yeah. So going over the cast, we obviously have Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. He's my favorite Spider-Man. Now I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for that, but coming from a person who, like I said numerous times before in this review, I wasn't a big Marvel guy, so seeing Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, he was Spider-Man for me. I never watched any of the X-Men movies. I never watched any of the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. And I'll be honest, besides No Way Home, I haven't seen much of Tom Holland's interpretation of the character. So, although both actors are great in their own right, I think that Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker will be cemented in my mind as, my Spider-Man. Just like Christopher Reeve is my Superman and Michael Keaton is my Batman. And don't at me saying that Robert Pattinson is the best. I've already heard enough shit from you about that. So don't be starting it here. Anyway, but even with Batman, I can admit that some actors may be better than like Michael Keaton. He's still my Batman. So that goes along with the same for this. Like, yes, we've had Andrew Garfield, and yes, we've had Tom Holland, who, in retrospect, may be better than Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man. So with that in my mindset, in my mind right now, I can't really think of anything bad about Tobey Maguire's interpretation. Like it. I think that with Andrew Garfield, I could start picking at his character, and trust me, we'll get to that when we get to the Amazing Spider-Man films. And Tom Holland, same goes for him. But honestly, with Tobey Maguire, he might, in my opinion, encompassed everything about Spider-Man. He played the kind of like the geeky side of him great. And then he played the kind of like the wisecracking Spider-Man good as well. I think the only thing that kind of hindered his acting to most people was the shitty romance, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I think that overall, if you take all the stupid romantic shit out of it, he's a great Spider-Man. It's just the character arc between him and his love interest isn't that good. And we'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to that. So now we have Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane Watson. Okay. Okay. I'm going to admit, I love this film. I loved it for a while. And even, rewatching this, for the majority of it, I liked it. But the one thing that was, that I guess really the one thing that I've changed my mind on, if I had to say anything about this film, is that Mary Jane Watson in this film is as dull as fucking wood. Like, she is so bland. Like, it just seemed like to me that she was just your typical damsel in distress. And that is one thing that I can absolutely, without a doubt, give credit to the following series, like Amazing Spider-Man and Tom Holland stuff. They improved Peter's love relationship in those films by a fucking mile. So, if I had to say anything nice about them right now, is that they have better love stories than these films. Because, trust me, as we go on with Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, it's only going to get worse, I think, from here. But for this film alone, I think that if I had to say anything, I think that she's at her most tolerable, I would say. Even though, arguably, this is a very fair point, she gets captured about, I think, 5 times throughout the movie. Throughout this movie itself, I think 4 or 5 times she gets kidnapped. And I'm like, that's just a shitty way of just saying, oh, the villain did something to Spider-Man. He kidnapped his girlfriend. Or he kidnapped his love interest. What fucking ever. Like, I can understand once, and that's what the Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 kind of improved on, is that they limited the amount of time she got kidnapped to like once. And, to help out pacing of the movie, I think for me personally, it helps a lot better because it just, says, okay, it's like a last resort thing. Whereas this film, she gets fucking kidnapped like every goddamn 5 minutes, it felt practically. And it's like, oh, you saved her, but then what's even the point? Because she's gonna get captured fucking 10 minutes later, and then I'm gonna have to go and save her again. And it's just like what's even the point? So I think that's my biggest gripe with that with this film, I mean, granted, this goes on for all of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but this film I think has the worst of it. Um, I think just in terms of I mean, the kidnapping part is, yeah, it's a big part, but trust me, I'm only saying that it improves by Spider-Man 3. Just because that it just seems like that in this film, it seems like I said, she just was getting kidnapped for the plot's sake, whereas in Spider-Man 3, I think she gets kidnapped only like once in that movie, and it's like by the end. So it's like, okay, at least it's typical stuff like the villains captured like the love interest within like the last act, so Spider-Man has to go and save her. That I'm fine with. It's all the other shit that they make her character do in the in basically the majority of that film that pisses me off. And trust me, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But overall, I think that just granted, it doesn't help that the dialogue is pretty freaking bland throughout between both Peter and MJ. It just seems like it just seems like your typical teenage drama where, oh, this boy character and this girl character are really liking each other, but they just can't and won't show it. So they have to kind of like work around, and it's just get to the goddamn point. Like, if you love each other, then just say it. And like I said, this is something that I think they especially improved upon with the second film, but horribly did with the third one. But it's bad in this one. But yeah. Then we have Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn / the Green Goblin. If it wasn't for another character that we're going to be talking about later, he's by far the best part about this movie. Probably because he's probably the best. He's the most experienced actor in the entire movie, so it would seem like he would probably be the best one. But I just think that he can blend it so well between like his human side, which is pretty normal, and then his like supervillain side, which is like pretty over the top, which it fits for this film. But there are even I can admit there are moments throughout the movie where I'm just like, okay, you're going a little bit too far with this. Like, tone it down a bit. But it's like he never relents. And okay, I will admit his costume is pretty laughable in this film, but it kind of fits with the tone of the film. And trust me, we'll see a worse interpretation of Green Goblin later on. So this could have been far worse. Like, holy shit level bad. But overall, I think that Willem Dafoe is the second best part about this film. We'll get to the best part about this film in a little bit. Then we have James Franco as Harry Osborn. Besides the Raimi Spider-Man stuff, I haven't really watched any of James Franco's stuff. I heard that he played a minor role in Alien Covenant, and I mean very minor. Which I'm like, oh, I want to see him in that one, but if it's only like a very minor role, then it's like, what's even the point of watching the entire film just to see James Franco? I haven't seen The Disaster Artist. Any of his stuff with Seth Rogen, because honestly, I'm not that big into strictly comedies, so I'm like whatever. Like I don't really care. But him as Harry Osborn in this is actually really good. Like it shows that he can do dramatic stuff, and he's not, he could be known mostly for his comedy stuff, but it just seems like that. Like he can't do dramatic stuff, and it's like he doesn't strictly have to go for comedy, and that's what I like about comedians is like if they can mix the two well, like kind of like Adam Sandler, like if they can go for like sometimes go for really, comedic roles, but then also go for really serious roles, and he can blend them well, then I think it's fair game, really. So James Franco, I think he does very good in this. And then we have the man, the myth, the legend, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Oh my God. Best part about this movie, full stop. Like, he is the best part about this film, without a doubt. Like, every single time he pops up on screen, I'm like, this film just instantly got 10 times better. And it's true, because he has, kind of like Willem Dafoe, he's an experienced actor. So, seeing him, like, basically pull off those comedic moments, or comedic timing so well, it's just like cinema gold. And it doesn't help much that, I mean, he's kind of become an internet meme, especially his character, or especially a moment from the second film, which we'll get to when we cover that. But overall, I love J.K. Simmons in this film, as well as the following two films. I have heard of his other work, especially Whiplash. I really want to see that, because I've heard he's fantastic in that. But overall, I love J.K. Simmons, especially in the as J. Jonah Jameson. We have Cliff Robertson and Rosemary Harris as Ben Parker and Aunt May, respectively. They both did really good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of difficult to kind of talk about some of these, roles, because it's really just, like, it's kind of just like, oh, they're just like kind of like supporting characters, and that's really about it. Like, there's nothing really significant to the roles, obviously, except for Ben Parker, who, obviously gives him the great line, with great power comes great responsibility, but then unfortunately does die, I think at the end of the first act. So, I mean, yeah, they both do great, and obviously, Rosemary Harris will pop up for Spider-Man 2 and 3, which we'll get to. We have Bill Nunn as Robbie Robertson. I believe I think he does return. I know he returns in the second film. I don't know about the third one, but he did unfortunately pass away a few years ago, and he does good with the with the role. And then we have if you guys know anything about Sam Raimi, you know that he will do anything to try and sneak cameos in from both his brother Ted Raimi and longtime collaborator Bruce Campbell, who obviously, if it isn't obvious enough, was in the Evil Dead series as, my boy Ash Williams. So Ted Raimi in this film plays Hoffman, who is like Jameson's like kind of like assistant. He would continue on to play Hoffman in Spider-Man 2 and 3. He's fantastic. He's funny in this film. Trying to kind of say things that he likes and dislikes, and yet Jameson's just like constantly shooting him down, like nope, shit, nope. And then obviously we have Bruce Campbell as the ring announcer at the wrestling match, where Peter is trying to win some money to impress MJ with a new car, but he obviously doesn't have enough money, so he enters this wrestling match to earn $3,000, and Bruce Campbell's there as the ring announcer, and if you guys know Sam Raimi and you know Bruce Campbell, what else do I need to say about Bruce Campbell? He's fucking awesome in almost everything that he does. So it's like, you get double thumbs up from me, Bruce. So, yeah, that's pretty much about it in terms of the cast. Before we go into favorite scenes, I guess I might as well go over this Blu-ray release. Again, like I mentioned, this was released in 2017, along with, Spider-Man 2 and 3, along with The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, to kind of commemorate the release of Spider-Man Homecoming that was going to be coming out later that year. Um, so this was kind of the beginning of my Blu-ray collecting phase. So you can kind of tell that some parts of it are kind of like a bit damaged. Um, and this is the going for all of these. These are like their original Blu-ray releases. So this is the original 2012 release. Um, and in terms of special features wise, it's pretty minute, kind of. For a Blu-ray release in 2012, we have a multi-age webisodes. I honestly don't know what that is. Behind the scenes of Spider-Man, a director profile Sam Raimi, screen test for Tobey Maguire, J.K. Simmons, and CGI Spider-Man. Historical documentary Spider-Man: the Mythology of the 21st Century. Costume and makeup test, a gag reel, and a few more. There's the little insight. And if I remove the disc, which I think it's kind of cool that they made it into like part of. Yeah, I'm trying to hold it up without ruining it, but it's like Spider-Man's costume. And on the inside, it's a nice little shot of Green Goblin with his glider. It's pretty, I guess, standard release for 2012. I just kind of wish that they would have made this into like a new Blu-ray release, like with like maybe some like a couple more special like a couple new special features. But I guess they got to make that money somehow. I like the colors that they go with some of these, but the one thing is I just hate the piss color, like piss yellow color of this Spider-Man release. Like all the other ones, which I'll get to, they're like more like kind of like reds, oranges, blues, and greens. Kind of they go well with their individual films, but the fuck does yellow have to do with Spider-Man? Like with 2002 Spider-Man. Like I don't get it. If anything, you should go for like a really like lime green. But I don't know. This was, like 5 years ago, so I don't know. So going on to favorite scenes, it's kind of difficult because honestly, it's mostly just like, like the whole movie's great, so it's like kind of just difficult to try to pick out a certain favorite scene. But if I had to pick one, I'm probably gonna have to go for James's first introduction to Peter, where he's like like he's sitting there and Peter delivers him images of Spider-Man so that he can use for the front cover. And Jameson just gives one glare up to him and Peter's like, "Oh, is he gonna like them?" And he just goes, "They're crap. Crap, crap, mega crap." And it's just like such good comedy timing on that. It's just perfecto. I guess my second favorite line, which honestly has become a bit of a meme, is right at the end where after Goblin has beaten down Parker and he kind of taunts it with like trying to, is like, "I'm gonna kill MJ." Spider-Man's like, "Oh, you freak," and he just beats the ever-loving crap out of him. He finally knocks the mask off. He finally shows up at, it's like, "Oh, it's Norman? Oh my God." Well, at least it's Spider-Man. And he starts like trying to talk to him. He's like, just let me go. We'll be fine. And he's like, I forget what Spider-Man says to him. And he's like, "Godspeed, Spider-Man." And Spidey, senses that, the glider is activated and is going to charge him. So he jumps out of the way and it goes, it's straight on going towards Goblin. And it just cuts to his face going, "Oh." And he just gets impaled. And I'm like, what did I just watch? Did I just see a man just go, "Oh," and then get impaled in the crotch by his own spear glider? Like, what the hell? But yeah. Fun facts about this film is I have two for this film. if you guys know a bit of history about the film, both at least this first one should be a little bit easy to kind of guess as soon as I start talking about it. But for those of you who don't know about it, there was a teaser poster that was originally released back in, I want to say, 2001. Um, like I think early 2001, that shows a close up of Spider-Man's face coming around a building, and his eye shows the Twin Towers, because obviously this is set in New York. But obviously, if you know your history, basically right after that poster was kind of commissioned and it was starting to circulate, 9/11 happened, and that kind of caused Sony to be like, okay, we might have screwed that one up. Let's just take these back. So they started recalling all the posters. Um, and I should mention that around this time, like around the time that the teaser poster was out, there was a teaser trailer that did kind of show off the Twin Towers in kind of like a big way. And I will use that. I'll show that off on my social media pages when I post the social media stuff out. Um, but yeah, basically they recalled the posters, they recalled the trailers, and while most of the posters were recalled and gone to Sony, a few of them still linger down the wild. And if you go to like auctioning sites and stuff, like, or poster sites and stuff, you can pretty easily find clean scans of the original teaser poster if you probably just look up Spider-Man 2002, and you could easily find it. I don't know if they made a kind of like a quad poster of it. I know that you only did it for like a typical movie poster, like that Star Wars one back there that you see. I know they only did them like that. So, um, it's I would imagine that they're pretty difficult to find, like, physically, and if you can, you're probably gonna have to pay a good penny for them. Um, but it's just kind of like one of those moments in kind of like film history where you're just like, you might have screwed that one up. And the other one that I have is basically Raimi chose the Green Goblin as the main villain for this film because he felt that the father son relationship between Norman and Harry would make the film deeper for Spider-Man's introduction. So he was like, might as well just put that in. Um. So, and real quick, to mention it, Danny Elfman's music, I think it's pretty good. Is it as good as like his score for Batman or Batman Returns? No, it probably, it wouldn't. It doesn't even come close. But it's good overall. I really do enjoy it, and it's not obviously easy listening to, but you could probably easily find the score of like the original soundtrack, with like all the pop songs on it, including a song from Nickelback, I think. Along with the actual movie soundtrack, pretty easy to find. In fact, I think even I'm trying to remember. I think either Entrada Records or La La Land Records just put out a new edition of Danny Elfman's score for this film. And if I can find out, I'll put the link in the description below so you can check it out. But yeah, so final thoughts on weird glare. Final thoughts on Spider-Man. I personally enjoy it. Yeah, the romance does hinder my experience a bit because it just seems forced and stupid. But overall, I do personally enjoy it, and I do plan on coming back to it at some point. It's at least kind of like one of those films where I can imagine I would probably watch it like once a year, just kind of get me in a happy mood. But yeah, personally, I enjoy it, and I highly do recommend it to everyone. And uh, even though I do enjoy it, the romance plot really does weaken the film a lot. As well as certain scenes that kind of connect to others, like in terms of the main plot, really don't gel well in this film. So that's why I'm gonna give this film a solid B. It's not perfect, but it's still very great overall, and I highly do recommend it. So yeah, that was my review of Spider-Man from 2002. Stay tuned for next week where I'll be discussing I'll be doing my review on Spider-Man 2, released 2 years later. And if you guys want to follow me on my social media pages, make sure to click in the links down below. Also, follow me on my Reddit on Letterboxd so you can get early previews and of what I think about certain movies and stuff when I'm gonna be covering them. Um, oh, Before I actually cover them. Also, I have a Discord server up. If you guys want to go and check that out, make sure to hit that link down in the description below. And it's always open. We talk about movies, TV shows, video games, and just general stuff like that. So make sure to go and join the server. Um, I also have a Twitch page. I will be doing some occasional Twitch live streams every once in a while, whenever I feel like it. So make sure to follow me on there to get notified when I'm streaming. And yeah, if you guys also want to support me a little bit more, go and check out my Throne page, and maybe if you really want to, make sure to buy a gift. I should specify though, if you're gonna do that, at least message me on, like, for example, my Discord, saying that I'm gonna donate you a gift, so that I at least know that if you guys are going to, at least I'm notified. Instead of you guys just ordering out of the blue. So that it's not like I get a mysterious package on my door. I'm like, who the fuck is this from? So at least just notify me if you guys are going to send a gift. It's obviously not mandatory. That's just if you guys want to support my channel that little bit extra more. That would really be appreciated. But again, it's not mandatory. And yeah, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. Obviously still trying to hit that 150 sub goal. It's already 2023 and we didn't meet it for 2022. That still stings a little bit, but I can easily look over it. But yeah, stay tuned for next week, guys, for my review on Spider-Man 2002. Live long and prosper. Ayo.